There is a type of person who could be completely overwhelmed and still tell you, I'm fine. Their car breaks down, they figure it out. They're drowning in work, they stay up later. They're going through something emotionally devastating. You probably won't hear about it until months later. And even then, they'll tell the story like it was no big deal. From the outside, these people look incredibly independent, strong, capable, maybe even emotionally mature. But sometimes, never asking for help isn't a sign that someone doesn't need people. It's a sign that somewhere along the way, they learned that needing people was dangerous. And that changes everything. Think about the last time someone offered you help. For most people, the answer is simple. Yes, thank you. But for someone who is extremely self-reliant, something else can happen. Their brain immediately starts searching for an escape. No, no, I've got it. Don't worry about me. It's really not that bad. Even when it is that bad, they may be carrying 5 heavy bags while refusing to let you take one. And logically, this makes absolutely no sense. But emotionally, it can make perfect sense. Because asking for help requires something they may find deeply uncomfortable, depending on another person. And dependence means uncertainty. What if they say no? What if they help, but secretly resent you? What if they remind you about it later? What if you become a burden? What if needing them gives them power over you? So instead of risking any of those possibilities, the person develops a much safer rule. I'll do it myself. And after enough repetition, this stops feeling like a rule. It starts feeling like their personality. They become the responsible one, the friend everyone calls during a crisis, the employee who somehow handles everything, the sibling who never causes problems, the person who listens to everybody else but rarely talks about themselves. And there's something interesting about this role. People begin assuming that the strong person doesn't need support because they rarely ask for it. So others offer less, which makes the person even more convinced that they have to handle everything alone. It becomes a loop. I don't ask because nobody helps. And nobody helps because I never ask. But where does this begin? There isn't one answer. For some people, independence was rewarded very early. Maybe being easy, quiet, responsible, or mature got them approval, while having needs created tension. Perhaps asking for something was followed by disappointment. Maybe the adults around them were already overwhelmed. Or perhaps they simply learned that vulnerability was something to hide. A child doesn't usually think, I am developing an unhealthy relationship with receiving support. They think something much simpler. I should handle this myself. And that strategy can work surprisingly well. That's important. Extreme independence often develops because, at some point, it was useful. It made life more predictable. If you rely only on yourself, nobody can disappoint you. If you never ask, nobody can reject you. If you never admit that you're struggling, nobody can use your vulnerability against you. The problem is that strategies designed to protect us in one stage of life can quietly limit us in another. Now imagine that same person years later. Their partner asks, why didn't you tell me you were struggling? And they genuinely don't know how to answer because asking never even occurred to them. Their mind automatically went from, I have a problem, to, how do I solve this alone? There was no step in between called. Maybe someone could help me. And this is why extreme self-reliance can sometimes look confusing in relationships. These people may be incredibly generous. They will drive across town to help you, listen to you for 3 hours, fix your problem, lend you something, remember exactly what you needed. But when you try to do the same for them, suddenly there's resistance. I'm good. Seriously, you don't have to. I'll figure it out. They're comfortable being useful. They may be much less comfortable being cared for because giving keeps them in control. Receiving requires trust. And underneath all of this, there is sometimes another fear, being a burden. Notice how differently people can judge their own needs compared with everyone else's. A friend calls them at midnight because they're upset. That's what friends are for. They need to call someone at midnight? I don't want to bother them. Someone needs advice? Of course I'll help. They need advice? They probably have enough going on. Their brain has created two different standards. Other people are allowed to need support. They are supposed to manage. And eventually, this can become exhausting because being the person who never needs anything sounds powerful until life gives you something that one person was never supposed to carry alone. Grief, burnout, parenthood, illness in the family, financial pressure, or relationship falling apart, or simply too many ordinary problems arriving at the same time. This is where the strongest independent people can reach a strange point. They desperately want someone to notice, but they still don't want to ask. So they might become quieter, more withdrawn, more irritated, maybe even slightly resentful. A thought appears. Why does nobody ever check on me? But the people around them may genuinely have no idea anything is wrong. Because for years, they have been told, I'm fine. That's the painful paradox. You can become so good at appearing okay that people actually believe you. So, what does healthier independence look like? It doesn't mean becoming helpless. And it doesn't mean telling everyone every problem you have. Real independence isn't refusing support. It's knowing you could survive alone while also recognizing that you don't always have to. Sometimes the smallest change is simply noticing the automatic response. Someone offers help. Your instinct says, no, I'm good. Before answering, pause. Do you genuinely not need help? Or does receiving help simply make you uncomfortable? Those are very different things. You can start small. Let someone carry one of the bags. Ask one question instead of researching everything yourself. Tell a trusted person, actually, this week has been difficult. Accept the favor without immediately planning how to repay it. Because receiving support does not automatically create weakness. And needing another human being occasionally does not erase everything you're capable of doing yourself. In fact, perhaps the strongest version of independence is having nothing to prove. You don't have to prove that you can carry every problem alone. You probably can. That was never the question. The better question is, why do you believe you always have to?